What's going on, YouTube? This is Leroy here with some brand new updates coming from the Pokemon world. That's right, I'm talking about Pokemon X and Y, which are set to release worldwide on October 12th, 2014. That's right, suckers, you gotta wait a whole nother year. No, I'm just kidding, 2013. So in just a few months, X and Y will be available worldwide. And like, that's right, Japan, you freaking spoiled Japanese kids, you always get the games first. Well, not this time, we get it at the same time as y'all. So the whole world gets it October 12th, and yesterday we heard a lot of new information about Pokemon X and Y, because Nintendo was holding their conference at E3, where they discuss, annually all of the new updates in their titles and software and everything, so we knew we were going to hear a lot about X and Y, and we definitely did. Now, the biggest news that came out, over everything else that the most people have been talking about, is the new Fairy type. That's right, they added a new type into the Pokemon games. Now, this is kind of crazy because in the original games we had 15 types. Then Gold and Silver came out, they added Dark and Steel. Then we went through Ruby and Sapphire, Diamond and Pearl, Black and White, and Black and White 2 without any additional types. So a lot of people were starting to think they were done adding types. But it's been announced for Pokemon X and Y that there will be an 18th type, the Fairy type. Now, to be honest, Fairy type sounded a little bit ridiculous when I first heard it. It still kind of does. I mean, it doesn't really seem to fit with, like, water, fire, electric, fairy, It's just kind of like the odd one out. But, yeah, a little bit kind of ridiculous of a name. I think they could have done better. However, Fairy type is actually going to be awesome because it's super effective against Dragon types. Like, finally, we don't have to get an Ice type or whatever to take down the final Elite Four member. Now you can bring out your Fairy types. But that's really all we know about Fairy types so far, is that offensively, they're good against Dragon. We don't know anything else they're super effective against, anything they're weak against, and nothing about them defensively. However, it was revealed that there are 4 brand new Fairy type Pokemon at E3. And the first one is a brand new Pokemon called Sylveon. Now, Sylveon is actually going to be an evolution, so Eevee finally has another evolution, finally. Now it has 8 of them. So in addition to Flareon, Vaporeon, Jolteon, Umbreon, Espeon, Glaceon, and Leafeon, we now have Sylveon, the Fairy-type evolution. So that's pretty awesome. No surprise that the new typing has an evolution. When they added Dark-type, they made Umbreon, so yeah, Sylveon's going to be pretty cool. And what really surprised me was that they went back and actually changed some of the older Pokemon's typing combinations. So now Gardevoir is part Fairy, not Flying Fairy. Jigglypuff is part Fairy, and Marill is also part Fairy. So those Pokemon are now like a combination of typings. You got Psychic and Fairy, Normal and Fairy, Water and Fairy. And that's really all we know about the Fairy types so far. There are 2 confirmed Fairy moves. There is Moonblast and Fairy Wind. Oh no, not the Fairy Winds! But yeah, those seem to be some pretty awesome new moves. And that's all the information we've been given about the Fairy types. I'm really interested to hear more about them. I really want to know what Pokemon are being added as new Fairy types and things like that. But just to kind of like play a little guessing game, just based on the Pokemon that have been confirmed as Fairy types, I've kind of made some predictions what Pokemon I think might additionally be part Fairy. So since Jigglypuff became a Fairy type, I figure Clefairy probably will as well. Also, I could see a good chance that Chansey becomes a Fairy type, perhaps Audino as well. All those Pokemon are kind of similar. They're pink, so they must be fairies, I don't know. But then Gardevoir was chosen as a Psychic type, so I could see Mr. Mime also becoming part Fairy. Seems a little bit of, got a little bit of fairiness to it, whatever that means, but, I don't know, maybe throwing like a dart in the dark, what's the phrase, throw a knife in the dark here? Yeah, I could see maybe Chime Echo, but, I don't know if they'll mess with the legendary Pokemon, but Azelf, Uxie, and Mesprit have Fairy written all over them, so we'll see about that one. In addition, Togepi is a good candidate for a Fairy type. I could see Skitty being a Fairy type. Maybe Plusle and Minun. I mean, perhaps they could get like a Fairy evolution. We've all been waiting on that evolution. I don't know, maybe it'll be like the plus and then the minus and you get like an equal sign for Fairy. I don't know. And then maybe Volbeat and Illumis as well, kind of a duo of Pokemon that suck and need an evolution, and maybe a new typing or something. Spinda could be a fairy, evil teddy bear fairy, demuted, who really knows. And actually, Snubbull is a Pokemon that could actually very, very possibly become a fairy type, because It's actually known as the fairy species, so Snubbull and Gramble, perhaps going to be a fairy type, and I don't know, I'll throw in one more knife in the dark here, maybe Zoroark will become a fairy type. I see it as being a little bit of a fairy, I don't know, whatever, who really knows what a fairy type is supposed to look like, but the only one other confirmed thing is this Pokemon right here. Yeah, what is that? I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce its name because it's only been released in Japan with its Japanese name, but this is what it looks like, and supposedly it's a fairy type. So, yeah, back away, Garchomp. We got the fairies coming in town. So, yeah, that's what the big update was from Pokemon X and Y, the fairy types. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think fairy type sounds cool? Do you think it sounds dumb? How do you think it's going to fit into the overall gameplay? And just give me your thoughts on your fairy types. Tell me what Pokemon you want to see become a fairy type. Do you want to be a fairy type? I don't know. Just let me know anything in the comments section. Hopefully I'll have some more X and Y updates coming along soon. So thank you for watching, everybody. And I'll see you guys all next time.